Today on CityCast DC, a blockbuster New York Times report last week announced that DC's mayor is under federal investigation over a foreign trip she took. But is she? Within hours, other news organizations reported that the investigation isn't targeting the mayor and may not be much of an investigation after all. Nonetheless, it all lands at a terrible, terrible time for Muriel Bowser as she weighs a re-election run. And it highlights once again the bizarre dance between DC's leaders and the Trump administration. I'm here with Axios' Cuneyt Dil. We'll talk through Qatargate, and we'll also get into the latest on the potential end of the federal shutdown. Today is Tuesday, November 11th. I'm Michael Schaffer. Here's what DC's talking about. Hey, Cuneyt.
Hey, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. So listen, man, you and me, we usually talk Fridays a lot on the news roundup. There's been so much news the last couple of days that I wanted to bring you in a little bit earlier to go through some of it.
There's a lot of news. You're right.
Man, thank you for being here. And you're in a busy time. Cuneyt, for the uninitiated, has launched his own podcast with fellow friend of CityCast, Tom Sherwood.
I have. I've suddenly decided I need more work to do. So Tom and I launched this new podcast called the Dream City Podcast. We're focusing on the local politics and business scene in DC. And we're going to try and do it weekly-ish, emphasis on weekly-ish. We're not quite ambitious enough to do it daily or anything like that. But our aim is to go deep into those topics and bring city leaders on, bring people in the business world, hold the powerful to account, and also explain to listeners how the city works and ways it doesn't work. So we're excited. We got some fancy mics and we're rocking and rolling. It's you can find it at dreamcity.news and Spotify, YouTube.
Will you still come on CityCast?
I will absolutely always come on CityCast. And you got to come on our podcast now that we have.
Glad to, my friend. So listen, the thing that you guys talked about in your first recording, which was occupying the minds of everyone who follows sort of city government news the end of last week, is what I guess we're going to have to call Qatargate or Qatargate, depending on your Arabic pronunciations. Right. Can we just go back to the beginning? On Thursday night, the New York Times reports that the mayor of DC is under investigation. What happened then?
Yeah, the sequence of events was crazy because Thursday night, the New York Times reports that Mayor Muriel Bowser is under federal investigation for this foreign trip she took in 2023 to Doha, Qatar. This was a trip to boost the city's image as a place that Qatar can invest in. Qatar has invested a lot in DC, by the way. They've done a lot. City Center, I believe Monumental Sports. There's a lot of Qatari investment. And the mayor went on this trip. It was paid by Qatar. And the Times reported that there was a federal investigation into potential allegations of bribery and campaign finance violations. Now, so that happened. And then I reached out to our star White House reporter at Axios, Mark Caputa, who's very well sourced. And I said, do you have any sourcing on this? And we were able to report a few hours later that night that Mayor Bowser is not a target of this investigation.
So there is an investigation, but it is not necessarily aiming at her.
That seems to be exactly what the case is. This has been confirmed by other outlets as well. The Post has some reporting as well that suggests exactly that there might be an investigation about this trip. The mayor herself is not being looked into for wrongdoing, it seems. But there's a lot of unanswered questions. I mean, we can get into it all, but she went on the trip with 4 staff members as well.
Wait, can I just back up for a second?
Yeah.
Because, that story, when it broke, it ricocheted around the very small and excitable world of city
all
politics.
The text
people.
Chains and group chats.
I think I sent it to you. Was I the first?
Something like that, yes.
Excellent.
You were the first.
I'm glad to hear it. But sort of big picture question, is it actually illegal, for a mayor to have their trip paid for by some foreign government where she wants to attract an investment, or for that matter, having it paid for by the U.S. DC Chamber of Commerce or anyone else?
Right. No, no, not necessarily. I mean, there are rules to disclose these things as donations. There are ethics disclosures to be made if you're receiving, donations to go on trips and that sort of thing. These are things that state lawmakers do across the country. I was a reporter in California for the AP. I wrote a ton about how California, which is like a huge state, a huge economy, they go all over the world on trips like this all the time. And a lot of time it's paid for by special interests. I mean, you can question the ethics of that. You can question what they're seeing on these trips if it's a slanted point of view, but there's nothing illegal as long as it's properly reported and the proper guidelines are followed.
At Mosaic Theater, don't miss a New York Times critic pick and must-see play of the season, A Case for the Existence of God. From the award-winning screenwriter of The Whale and MacArthur genius Samuel D. Hunter, A Case for the Existence of God is about two fathers from very different backgrounds who form a powerful bond of friendship. With humor and hope, the play illuminates the crisis of male friendships and demonstrates how we can learn to communicate over divides of race, class, and sexuality. A Case for the Existence of God plays November 13th through December 7th at the Atlas Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now at mosaictheater.org. Life can flip on a dime. 1 minute, everything's normal, and the next, someone else's mistake shakes your world upside down. And that's when you need a team you can count on. NACE Law Group has been standing up for DC families for decades, fighting for neighbors hurt by medical malpractice, wrongful deaths, and serious injuries. They don't just settle quickly or push papers. They dig in, fight hard, and make sure every client gets the justice they deserve. And here's something that I personally love about them. They are a longtime supporter of this very podcast. Because just like us, and just like you, they care about this community and the folks who call it home. So if you've been hurt or someone that you care about has, just pick up the phone. Call NACE Law Group. They'll stand with you, fight for your family, and make sure your rights are protected. And who knows, maybe you'll even see him at a CityCast live show. Visit WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com. That's WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com.
So this was like a little bit of an unusual trip because it involved going to Doha, capital of Qatar, maybe the richest country in the world, a country that has invested a lot of money in the United States and in D.C. particularly. I suspect that is more out of a desire to fly their national flag in an influential city than simply a cold-blooded economic decision. But that's as may be. She also went during the same trip to Dubai, also in the Persian Gulf, the biggest city in the United Arab Emirates. Not always a friendly relationship between there and Qatar, where she went to the UN climate change conference. And as your co-host on Dream City, Tom Sherwood, has noted, they were a little bit sloppy about where to come from. And first they were saying it was from the Chamber of Commerce and the U.S. Conference of Mayors and this and that. But is there anything sort of inherently sketchy about any of that?
I mean, is anything untoward about, in general, doing something like that? Or, the problem was there were inconsistencies in how they reported this, and they've admitted that. They've admitted that, and I'm talking about the Bowser administration, has gone back and tried to properly disclose all of these things. A lot of it has to do with the scrutiny that ABC7 brought to this story. They doggedly chased the mayor on the disclosures for this story. They got, I believe they were the first to report that Qatar admitted, they got the letter that said Qatar paid $61,000 for this trip. Before then, it was kind of unclear who had picked up the tab. I saw WAMU's Alex Coma also tweet out today that he got an email through FOIA where a DC official says, no, like we have to pay. We have to cover our cost of the trip in 2023. And for some reason, that didn't happen.
Why would they have to cover their cost?
The email was, and I can pull it up really fast here, was they were trying to impress upon the Qataris that they wanted to pay their way. Let me find it. This is a aide to Bowser. She wrote in 2023, quote, also want to clarify that we are required to pay for our travel on our end. Happy to discuss further.
It's a weird thing because it's not, I mean, as best anyone can describe this transaction or the relationship here, Washington, D.C., a city and its government wish to get investment from this incredibly rich petrostate.
Right.
Qatar does not need anything from DC. This is not like a business looking for like a zoning variance or something, i.e., there's not a lot of incentive on their part to bribe anyone here that has been brought to light. There was a lot of intense reporting by Channel 7, which is exactly what reporters should be doing, because the kind of whether or not it's illegal, the question of like, it's kind of gross. Is it gross for your local leadership to be taking money from an autocratic government or any other government? That's exactly what they should be doing. What I don't understand from any of the reporting is when and whether any of this sort of morphed into an actual investigation and what the thing was that was being investigated and whether that investigation is even still happening.
That's the what's next that I'm trying to find out. And a lot of people in DC politics who were shocked at this initial story are, I think, waiting to figure out what exactly might be being investigated here and where is this all heading? Because Mayor Bowser is considering running for a fourth term. It's a pretty bad thing if you have to explain that I'm not under investigation. I mean, those are words that you don't want to say as a mayor in general.
I mean, it beats saying I am under investigation.
Right, it beats saying that, maybe a close second.
You'd prefer to be saying things like, this is the most exciting time in the history of our great city. So as you say, she's up for re-election next year. She's had 3 terms. The kind of conventional wisdom had been, yes, she's going to go for a 4th term. Then it sort of turned, and according to your reporting, to like, actually, no, she maybe doesn't want to go for a 4th term. Now it's still sort of up in the air, but this makes for a backstory that will at once make her life more annoying because she'll have to answer questions from the likes of you, and maybe make the prospect of challenging her more appealing to people who might do so.
Right. It's kind of like a roadblock for the mayor, I guess. If a challenger wants to, like a challenger might not even have to mention it. It's just that it's out there in the world and the mayor has to be reactive to this bizarre investigation, but it's not an investigation into her, but it might be about a trip she went on. And it's what happens during press conferences is she might say one thing and then, well, the follow-up question is a detail about a certain thing. And it kind of like takes up all the air out of the press conference, which could have been about a ribbon cutting for a school or what have you. And now you're suddenly talking about an investigation.
So the other sort of piece of this, this may be too inside baseball, but I guess you are deep inside baseball, is the timing.
We'll try and not lose our listeners.
So the New York Times reports this based on sources. Some people were suspecting like, someone in the Trump administration or the federal government has leaked this to embarrass Bowser because she has been the subject of some criticism from Trump over D.C. versus federal government stuff and the police takeover. That appears not to be the case because but maybe it is one of the public corruption officials who was dismissed by the Trump administration because of stuff they had done to describe January 6th as a bad thing. And on the way out the door, this was like a reminder of like, look at all the actual investigations that you guys are ruining by pushing us out. I mean, we don't know, but since you were talking about whether or not Muriel Bowser runs for a 4th term, how do the politics of this play? Like, if it seems like she is being hosed, her reputation being dragged through the mud inappropriately by somebody, in the powerful position of being in the federal investigative agency, who is irresponsibly leaking, is that a thing that winds up, helping her in a city like Washington, where a lot of people have a great deal of suspicion of the federal government?
I mean, oh boy, like it's one thing if you can run on the Trump administration is coming after me for political retribution. Like Adam Schiff is, for example, in California, raising a ton of money and trying to defend himself from any potential legal case that the Trump administration could bring on him. But like, if the mayor wants to go around and tell people that it seems like there's an FBI agent who doesn't like me, who's now out of a job, but they leaked some stuff about me, don't trust I don't even know where you go with it.
Wait, so your organization, Axios, reported that it was a quote-unquote disgruntled FBI agent who your Justice Department source has said leaked us?
The senior Trump administration official who's told Axios that the mayor is not a target nor being investigated also added that they blamed the rumor of the investigation on a disgruntled, fired FBI agent.
It is kind of amazing, the fallout of these firings. I mean, we've talked about this on the pod before, the havoc that is being wreaked at the U.S. Attorney's Office here. And this most recent thing involving the description of January 6th as a terrible thing. The people they pushed out includes one of the prosecutors on the case of Trayon White, the D.C. council member who's supposed to go on corruption trial himself. There's a lot of federal muscle that was going to be deployed at things that have, on paper, nothing to do with sort of the big national politics issues that is being cast aside.
Right. I mean, if you want to zoom in on the Trayon White situation, Councilmember Trayon White, who got back on the council but is still facing his trial now, I think in January or sometime early next year. Well, the person leading that office, prosecuting him, I think is, like you just said, that his portfolio included Trayon White. Now he's out of that office. So what becomes of that? That was the initial sort of context in the Times story as well, that there's so much upheaval and turnover at the FBI, at the Justice Department, that what might actually be happening with this investigation, it's unclear, and whether it will move forward is also unclear because of these people who are leaving and getting fired and what have you. So
on the issue of the mayoral trip to the Middle East, are there other shoes yet to drop, or is there sort of a next step? I mean, this is sort of the worst thing with leaks of federal investigations, which is that, like, word leaks that you're being looked at for allegedly doing something bad, but when you're never formally cleared or anything like that, it just stops happening.
Right, because investigations just in general can take years. It might not result in anything a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. It might be dormant. So is there another shoe that's going to drop? I mean, again, I think that's what everyone is wondering and waiting. And it's also just, the whole thing is unusual because you don't usually have a U.S. attorney come out and say, so-and-so is not under investigation. Right. Even sort of just like the general pro forma protocol is to not comment on any investigations or confirm or deny or any, right? So, we just have to keep saying we live in unprecedented times, but we do.
As long as I've been a reporter in D.C., there have been mayors of Washington, and for that matter, everywhere, who've gone overseas on trips that are described as essential to drumming up key business and investment and partnerships for our city. And for that same spell of time, there's been people who've been like, this is gross, this is shady, right. There's something wrong here. Would it really make that much difference to this city or any city if the mayor said, you know what, I'm not going to leave I'm not going to leave the United States for the bulk of my tenure?
I'll give you the opposite way of thinking about it too. Is, again, when I was in California, their lawmakers went all over the world saying we're the 5th largest economy and so we need to go to Spain and China and all these other places to tout California as a place of investment. I had an ethics expert there tell me, well, what they should do is the taxpayers should pay for it. They should pay it out of public dollars. Sure, that, means taxpayers are footing the bill, but it also makes the trips less glamorous because ostensibly you're using public money for this. And you get rid of the issue of, well, am I falling under undue influence or am I getting favors from other entities?
So you're saying that under that scenario, the mayor would be flying coach to Doha.
Right, yeah, presumably. I mean, it was $61,000 the Qataris paid. I mean, like, I don't know, like, do you just, I mean, that's not even like a huge sum of money, like maybe to avoid all, and maybe you get it for cheaper because you're more mindful of it.
When most of us want to learn a new language, it's not because we're dying to memorize grammar tables or ace a quiz. It's because we actually want to speak it out in the real world with real people. And that's what Babbel is great at, getting you there fast. Hey, it's Michael Ziviak, Chief Revenue Officer here at CityCast. My daughter's a senior in high school, and after graduation, we're taking a father-daughter trip to Spain. And right now, my Spanish is, let's just say, very high school level. Shout out to Senior Patty from Syosset High School. You tried. When we're in Spain, I'd love to do more than just ask where the bathroom is. I want to be able to chat with locals, order tapas, and actually connect, not just read the menu and point. So I'm starting with Babbel. It's all about small steps, big wins, and it's super easy to fit into my life. Honestly, with how busy things get here at CityCast, I love that Babbel's bite-sized, 10-minute lessons fit right into my day, between meetings or over my morning coffee. I'm excited to pick up some real-world Spanish before we go, so we can experience Spain like locals, not tourists. Doesn't that sound better? Right now, Babbel's got a special deal for our listeners. Get up to 55% off your subscription at babbel.com/citycast. That's BABBEL.com/citycast for up to 55% off. Rules and restrictions may apply. Gracias and adios.
Hey, listen, before I let you go, the other big thing that has broken over the weekend and yesterday is the sense that the shutdown is about to end. There's obviously a lot of sort of national politics recriminations among Democrats of did they sell out, should they have stood firm, blah, blah, blah. But locally, this means a lot of people are going to be going back to work. Apparently, as part of the deal, the Trump administration will unfire some of the feds who were fired at the beginning of this shutdown, and will indeed give the back pay to feds, some of whom had been threatened with not getting back pay. What does this all mean for the city, a place we've been a little worried about the economy already?
Yeah, I think we're going to find out how much the economy picks back up. Like, we need a pulse check on where we are in maybe 2 weeks once people are rehired and people hit the metro more. I mean, metro ridership was down. I think restaurant spending is probably down.
Yeah. Otherwise, in my reporting on Metro, this was a couple of weeks ago, was that overall ridership was down like 7%.
Yeah, wow.
But federal ridership, and they can tell because people get money taken out of their paycheck for Metro. They can tell what a so-called federal tap that was down by like a quarter.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, and DC's already, like, this was a double whammy because you had the deferred resignations and you had the sort of general uncertainty around the federal government. And then the shutdown happened, turned into the longest shutdown we've had so far. We do need a pulse check going into the end of the year what the city looks like. And
speaking of that shutdown, I mean, one of the things that didn't come out was the unemployment data, which is to say,
that's right, yeah.
People would say all summer, like, we will know in October because these people who took the fork in the road, they won't actually leave the payroll until the end of September. So we'll have to wait till October to know how screwed we are, because only then will they show up on the unemployment rolls. But the unemployment rolls have not been reported because of the shutdown. And presumably they will now be reported in the goodness of time.
I mean, it's wild, yeah. The indicators aren't even working right now.
Right.
And there's just a whole company town. I mean, one of the heartening things is, though, restaurants and other places coming together to try and ease what is a really tough time for federal workers. I mean, like, everything from IKEA offering free breakfast for federal workers now to District Taco is giving a discount all through the end of the year for federal workers. Obviously the effects of this aren't going to be immediately gone away, but just as soon as the government reopens.
Yeah, I wrote this in my Politico column, but there's a sort of that vibe in Washington where our culture here, it's not like an industrial city where there's a real like little guys versus big guys vibe. But around here, it sort of emerged during the shutdown, as you saw these feds on going to food pantries and so on, where like the little guy came to the fore, and except in Washington, the little guy is often someone who like wears a lanyard and like commutes, from Maryland or Virginia to like a faceless federal cubicle someplace.
Right. Yeah.
Which is to say, like someone who to the rest of America looks like a comfortable professional, but is here the sort of the core backbone of the place, and we're suddenly, during this time, experiencing like a real, like almost unprecedented kind of uncertainty.
Totally, yeah, that's right.
That's even before we get into like SNAP and healthcare prices and stuff that is going to be felt, in every district around the country, not just in the federal one.
Right. There's like the very local economic issues that we're facing because of the federal government downsizing just locally in the DMV. You layer on top of that the national rising costs in healthcare, other things, you name it. Trump says he's going to lower beef prices, so we're waiting on that, I guess. But that there's a national economic malaise as well, layering on top of what we have.
Well, Cuneyt, I hope you'll keep us posted as you find out more about this.
Great to be on. Thanks, man.
And maybe let's go to the Smithsonian sometime now that we can.
Now that we can. That's right. I was
you
thinking of
you and me strolling
the
arm in
other day.
arm
I was like, you can't do that right now. It's kind of crazy.
All right. Talk to you soon. Good luck with the podcast.
Thank you.
All right, that's all for today here on CityCast DC. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and for goodness sakes, subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye.
Guess what? CityCast has some news. I'm Sean McPherson, the host of CityCast Twin Cities.
And I'm Jane Sihu, and I'm the host of CityCast Seattle. Hey, if you have a friend in one of our cities, can you text them for us?
Yeah, something, simple like, hey, how's that rash doing? And do you listen to podcasts? Because I have one you're definitely going to like. After that, tell them that CityCast has helped you become more informed, more involved, and more connected to your amazing city.
We're going to help that person you know in Seattle who's been trying to make friends.
And we're also going to do that for that guy you only kind of knew in college who moved back to the Twin Cities after graduation.
Don't we all have that guy?
Yeah, and usually that guy is named Todd.
So did you text them yet?
Jane, let's just wait a minute. We don't want to rush anybody. We'll do a little small talk. How's everything going in Seattle?
Beautiful, beautiful. Fall leaves popping. How about Twin Cities?
Today, beautiful and sunshiny in St. Paul. Okay, Jane, I bet they are done texting by now, and I just want to remind them, hey, you, please tell that friend to subscribe to CityCast Twin Cities or Seattle, wherever you get your podcasts.
Or if you don't want to text them and you're really just on Instagram sending them DMs all the time with like funny videos, send them a DM of our latest videos. You can find us at CityCast Twin Cities or CityCast Seattle on Instagram. Thanks.